I on that note, actually, I'm gonna pull it back
Yeah.
and ask you because we dipped into it, but normally we like to talk about what we've been playing and what we've been doing. And what games have you been playing? Because I do want to start the retro game conversation.
That is an excellent, guided, guided conversation course. I appreciate that. I have been playing Dark Souls 2. Now,
Best Dark Souls.
I am okay. Oh boy, can I talk about that? So I love Dark Souls to the extent that we were talking about it on Tuesday, and K Penguin was like, I can't imagine a time of Jer without Dark Souls. And when I was gotten into Dark Souls, it was basically an intervention. Like 3 people in my life, Kyle, my best friend Gecko, and my girlfriend at the time, all 3 just kind of sat me down and says, Jer, you are a Dark Souls fan. I was like, but I don't have time for it. No, shut up, Jer, you are a Dark Souls fan. You just need to actually play it. And you were all right.
Yep.
You were all very, very right. So at this time, Dark Souls 1, it was a classic. I'd seen references to it everywhere. Dark Souls 3 had just come out, and I was informed that Dark Souls 2 was kind of like an oddball, almost fan fiction of the series, or almost non-canonical, I was also told. So, point of this is, I skipped it. I played 1 and 3. I love 1 and I love 3. 3 is honestly a direct sequel to 1, and 2 is not. So it's like I didn't feel like I was missing too much by not playing 2. And I watched a Let's Play of 2. The Super Best Friends played that. I got some hints out of it. I mainly got out of that it's a good game, but it's definitely the oddball of the series. So I finally, this is actually after I kind of wrapped up Destiny 2. There's still one thing I want to do in Destiny 2, but I don't want to get back in just yet. But there's one challenge I kind of want to do just to say that I did. But that's another story altogether. So I kind of detached from Destiny, and I was playing some Bad Cop RPG. Never mind. Disco Elysium, which I need to get back to. But Dark Souls 2. It's a good game.
I enjoy it.
It is a very good game. It is
one of those. Oh, my relationship with Dark Souls 2 is no. I think it's objectively the worst Dark Souls game, but it is also kind of my favorite.
I mean, on a ranking scale of the 3 games, yes, I would say it is the worst, but that doesn't feel. It feels disingenuous because it is a Dark Souls game. But there are differences between it and Dark Souls 2. It was made by a different team. It was written by a different writer. Not Hayao Miyazaki, the other Miyazaki. I don't remember the FromSoft Miyazaki's name. Miyazaki. Miyazaki was working on Bloodborne at the time.
It's Hideo, maybe.
Is it? No, that's Hideo Kojima.
No,
I'm looking this shit up.
Hideo.
Hidetake.
Hideo. Okay, I think I was thinking of Miyazaki from Miyazaki. Hayao Miyazaki is who I was thinking about. Who is the Studio Ghibli guy?
Yeah, it's not the Studio Ghibli guy. It's the FromSoft guy. Anyway.
I'm confused.
He's an interesting guy. Do you know why he writes Dark Souls the way he writes it?
He's a big old fan of Berserk.
That is one of the big factors, yes. But no. But what I'm referring to specifically is the way that Dark Souls is vague and confusing and has a lot of holes in the plot deliberately. Do you know why he writes it that way?
I do not.
Because he grew up in Japan reading Western fantasy, Lord of the Rings and whatnot. And his English was pretty good, but not not fluent. And so he's getting most of the story, but not all of the story, because he's reading these novels in another language that he kind of understands. So he's reading these novels, and he's got like gaps in it of the parts that he doesn't understand because he doesn't have enough of the language. And he loved that. He loved reading these novels in a second language and having gaps in it that his imagination had to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took to making the dark fantasy video games in a way that did that super deliberately. that he wanted to share that really, really specific and unique experience he had from his childhood of loving a story but not getting all of it. And so he tells us these stories with deliberately leaving huge chunks out that you have to piece together. And it's the dopest. And it's why I think like the Dark Souls mythos is so strong, because he came with this super deliberate plan and executed it exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, except for the parts where he ran out of money. No, don't worry about Lost Izalith. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But anyway, yeah. But
Oh, I was just gonna say, speaking about games that ran out of money and or time,
yeah.
The game I'm playing.
Yeah,
But
I
if you have
can
more to
wrap
say.
up. Now, I'm trying to think, because I mean, like Dark Souls, I'm having a blast. I'm having a great time. It is, I have like everything I'm looking for from a Dark Souls game, which is, Fuck! I lost my souls again! And, I'm so good. I played Dark Souls 1 so much that that's not even an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of like, wow, there's like 4 paths, which is the one I'm supposed to go on. Oh, not this one! How in the fuck do I do this? Oh, hey, a message. Wait, why are there so many bloodstains in this room? Oh, it's a trap. How do I proceed through the? Hey, look, secret doors. It's like the actual experience of like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. But all the Dark Souls tools of like the signs and the signals, like all the deaths and all that. Do you know what I do actually? So like the difficulty curve is completely different from 1 and 3, because 1 and 3 had like here's a pathway, here's enemies that in a way that that is a puzzle that you have to solve. The way that these enemies come at you and the way that you come at them is a solvable puzzle. And that's true in 1 and 3, but in Dark Souls 2, it's just like, here's just a bunch of shit, go. And eventually they die for good and they stop being a problem and you can just not. It's all right. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. Kyle,
Yes.
do you like a video game called Devil May Cry?
I do indeed like me some Devils That Cry, maybe.
Do you know what happens in Devil May Cry when you really suck?
You look dumb.
Yeah, that's true, but another thing, it unlocks easy mode. Every time I fail a path enough times that one of the monsters doesn't respawn anymore, I get that you unlocked easy mode feeling.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks, but it's also kind of great because it's like, okay, well, if I just actually grind this until they all are permanently dead, I don't have to worry about it ever again until I turn them back on with an item.
I was gonna ask if you like knew how to turn them back on.
I kind of know. I know about bonfire aesthetics, so I do know about that. Anywho, that Dark Souls 2 is fine. I think it gets a little bit worse of a rap than it deserves. I think it is an oddball in the franchise. I think it is another direction, and I think like I could see a world where Dark Souls 3 continued the direction that Dark Souls 2 started, but instead Dark Souls 3 was a return to form of 1. and it just leaves 2 just kind of like hanging, and all of that makes 2 seem weirder and worse than it actually is. It's great. I'm having a good time. I'm fucking crushing the bosses. I'm just destroying, because I know the tricks at this point. I know that the way that they're going, they bait me. The only one that's really giving me trouble is Pursuer. He's pretty tough. But after you fought him like 4 times, he's like, okay, now I know your shit. I'm up to Lost Sinner. I'm at Lost Sinner's doorstep right now.
Let's see. I think that's really where the ball started rolling for me with
Nice.
Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
I really like 2, mainly from a writing and tone perspective. I like the symbols it uses, and I like how it is very much you get the feeling that it is a very different Kalpa cycle from what Dark Souls 1 was.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that.
And like as part of the greater whole, like kind of like what you said, like I think it is a worse game than the other 2, but I have this soft spot for it because first off, it is definitely like a lot of the feelings that like drag Dark Souls 2 down are like service level. This isn't like the first one feelings.
Yep.
And it so while I think it is again the worst one, it is a lot better than initial like thoughts are. Like the more I think about Dark Souls 2, the more like the closer the gap gets between 2 and 3, and then whereas 3 and 1 for me are very close together.
You know what it is? Is that I just stopped thinking about it being different from 1 and 3 and just kind of like enjoy it as its own game. And once I do that, it's awesome. And just like as soon as I start having this isn't what I expected, and just let that go, I enjoy it so much more. And just let it be itself, and it's way more fun that way. Anyway,